Good evening, everyone. So, welcome to the Vsar meeting. We have as you know, we have a depleted group tonight. We have 12 people on the Boynton Canyon call out. Story is a young female in Boynton called on her Apple Watch, called 911 on her Apple Watch. Soon after that, they lost contact with her. We have coordinates. Heath said the coordinates are good within 16 feet. Looks like she's back by Subway Cave area in Boynton, and we have a team of 12 going there, and they're going to call Heath when they get there. So I think we're covered well for tonight. You'll remember that Adam wants a minimum of 6 when at Boynton. I think we're covered tonight. Okay, so thank you for coming. Let's start the meeting with Pledge of Allegiance. If you stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, undivided, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm sorry, what? What I told Denise for the minutes is that we will be able to take them from the recording. Okay. Do we have a quorum for the board?
Yes, we do. 4 votes. 1, 2, 3.
Yep, okay, great. Okay. So, the agenda for tonight, and I'll be recording this and they'll send it to all the members that are on the call out tonight. The agenda for tonight is a membership update, very briefly. There hasn't been a lot of changes, but I'll update you on current status. We're going to do a year in review of 2021. How many call outs did we have? What type were they? And we're going to include the Iron Man, Iron Woman Award in that. Peg will give a financial report, which will be a very good one. We're going to talk about key mission learnings, particularly 2 key missions, and you're going to learn about new capabilities that we have in Vsar. You're going to learn about us adding thermal sensing drone and how that helped immensely on the Doe Mountain search. And you're going to learn about our rope team. We now have a Vsar rope team because we have 2 technicians and we have an operator now. And in volunteer rescue, we actually have Vsar ropes team that will work with backcountry whenever ropes are needed for rescue. And tonight we have a surprise for you, and I won't tell you what it is because it's a surprise. We have about 30 minutes of training on volunteer rescue tonight, and we're actually going to show you from both the web part of volunteer rescue and the phone that we'll be able to illustrate on the screen.
We asked for the call outs, we'd have live data to show people.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Okay, first, before we start the meeting, I want to spend a moment in memoriam of Michael. Michael Campbell was an esteemed Vsar member for 18 plus years. Michael died in a tragic motorcycle accident last week, age 74 in Longview, Texas. You remember Michael retired from Vsar a few months ago. He was visiting his daughter. He was actually camping on their land with his truck and his camper that he built. And he was taking his motorcycle in to get it inspected because he was going to give it to his daughter. He was on a busy highway, traveling as you do on a motorcycle on a highway, and a Jeep pulled in front of him. And his daughter told me he didn't have a chance. So you know that as Vsar. What you don't know is that Vsar is hosting a memorial service for Michael on September 29th. January 29th. It says that on there. I was thinking about the number of times I've talked with his daughter, Duana, and I got sidetracked. Duana, his daughter, got a hold of us by looking up Verdi Search and Rescue on Facebook, and then sent a message, and that's how we got a hold of her. And I've talked with her numerous times, and I've offered to host a memorial service for Michael, which would include, I said, if you'd like to come to Sedona, we would show you Michael's favorite places, and they would like to spread his ashes in one of his favorite places. And so currently what we're planning is that Vsar members will host Michael's family for 2 memorial services. One, an inside venue. Perhaps we're trying to look at Sedona College. We were there today at the Yavapai College Sedona branch. And the other, an outside location, which we are still selecting, but it would be one of Michael's favorite locations. And the time and the locations, as we finalize these details, I'll share it to all of Vsar. It is quite impressive, the number of his family that would like to join us. 7 members of his daughter's family, including his daughter and her husband. Their teenage children, which are Michael's grandchildren, and also Duana's and Duncan's parents, which actually is Michael's first wife and their stepdad. And what they said is they're so appreciative of us hosting them, because they said they would like, Duana said she'd like to know what her children, teenage children, she'd like them to know what her grandfather did in his second family, which is Vsar. So for the inside venue, what we're planning is we have maybe 8, 10, 12 photos of Michael in different, different scenes of Vsar searches. And what I'm asking for is for Vsar people to attend the service and to tell this family the story behind that photo. And then we'll give a booklet of those photos to the family. So I anticipate maybe 10, 15, 20 Vsar members. Yes, Peg?
And retired members like Rick and Frank.
Of course, retired members. Rick, you're invited. Frank's invited. And let me know of any other retired members that you think should be invited to this. Yeah. And then also Ginger, as you see in this photo, Ginger will be fostered and likely adopted by Mike Harris. Mike, where are you? As long as Ginger... Mike said as long as Ginger and Athena, Michael, his dog, get along together, which I believe they already are. Okay.
They've shared history together.
Okay.
It's been good history.
So again, all of you will be invited. I'll accept that not all of you may want to go, but I want anyone that knows Michael and can share a story to go. And I will keep you all of Vsar in the loop. Okay. And we hope that Adam will also be able to attend. He'll certainly be invited. Membership report. Yes?
You want to announce guests before we get into
Absolutely. It's actually part of the membership report.
Okay.
But I'll do it after the membership report. We have the membership status is very much the same as Tori presented in November. However, there is a difference. The 3 people that were attending Academy have graduated, and then they're on the active call-out list. And I'm pleased to say they're very active. They have been on many call-outs. So thank you for the new members. Give them a hand. Yeah.
I think we might need to stand down.
Stand down? Okay.
Yep, sounds like it.
Okay. We also have
No, it's a
change of where they're meeting. Okay. We also have 6 applicants still in YCSO background: Cindy, Cree, Janelle, Alan, Scott, and Mike. So they're still in YCSO background, which I know they're working very busily on. And then we have a number of potential candidates, some of which are attending today. So Bill and Alan, you've already introduced yourself. And we have new guests, Scott Burke. Scott, why don't you stand up a minute and just tell us 30 seconds about yourself.
Yeah, it's Steve, but
Steve.
close enough.
Thank you.
I've been callers. So yeah, I'm new to the area. I moved here recently from California. I've always been really interested in the outdoors. Most of my family is into public service, and I figured this could be a great way that I can give back. So eager to meet everybody and hopefully join the team.
Thank you. And you work at Oxendale
Oh yeah,
and
I
Cottonwood.
work at Oxendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. So if you have a Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, or I used to work for Ford for 20 years, I'm probably your guy.
Don's already hitting him up about the light in his Jeep.
I'm probably
Yeah.
a good company.
Yeah.
See you Friday.
What's that? Burke, B-U-R-K-E. Yeah.
And Hank.
If you have Jeeps, I'm
Hank
sure.
Sumi. Yeah, Hank.
Hi everybody, Hank Summy. Kind of new to the area, been here about 2 years, but love to help. I've got a couple of dogs that I'd like to help, get into the program of tracking and search and rescue. So if that's helpful for the community and for people, I'd love to help with those folks.
Thank you, Hank. And Rich, why don't you talk to Hank afterwards and tell him about the Yes Do You unit? Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Rich.
And again, our policy is, we have Rich and Jennifer working with the search dog unit in Prescott, and we will train with them, co-train with them, align with them, be full partners with them. with the hopes of actually having the dog group over here again. So a Vsar dog group that's on this side of Mingus that's closer to call-outs. But SDU will be our partner through the entire, everything.
That's great.
Okay. Okay, so let's now go to 2021 summary. Last year, we had 84 call-outs, okay? So we're down from our previous year of 106, but you can see this is the last 11 years of call-outs. So the last three, 72, 106, 84. It's slowing down a little, but still, double what we had in the first 10 years probably. And 4 for this year. Yep. So to our new guest, there is a continuing need for search and rescue services in the county. Of the 84 call-outs that we had last year, overall there were 66 missions and 16 stand-downs. And I found it's about 20% of our call-outs lead to stand-downs, and that the person is found, or they find their way out, or someone else helps them out. Of the 48 search missions that we had, both the hiking group and the 4x4 group, 68 people were found. In the previous year, 61 people were found, so it's very similar across the years. We had 11 missions for body recovery or body search, and that is the largest body searches that we've had ever in our history. A lot of it was, some of it was the monsoons and floods, flash floods. We had 6 fire or flood evacuations or snow transportations, 3 evidence searches for crime investigation, and 23 of our missions were at night. So I see a third of our missions are at night, like tonight. Frequent search and rescue locations, Cottonwood and Black Canyon Trail, Steve, was our most popular. A lot of it was because of the Faithmore search. There's many days of Faithmore search. 7 in Boynton Canyon, which is where tonight's search is, particularly.
IXO Volunteer Rescue or VR IXO Dispatch.
You can see what it is, Jill?
You may just be getting the call for that update. Put it on standby.
Okay.
So I replied to it soon.
So for you, the new people, Volunteer Rescue is both a web and Android phone app. This is iPhone. This is how the deputies just deploy any team throughout the county for any search and rescue effort. It's not a stand down, right? Okay.
I think it's just a phone call on the change of place.
Okay. So 7 Boynton Canyon, and what we find particularly is that if it's on social media, that's where we'll start getting search and rescue calls. Which tonight, Boynton Canyon, Subway Cave, Keyhole Cave. That's probably, other than Cottonwood, the most popular place that we've been this year. 6 Devil's Bridge, Lizard Head area, the 152 route on Dry Creek. 4 at Bell Rock and 4 at Cathedral Rock, and then multiple others, 20 plus of 1 to 3 searches each. So this is very similar, except we had more in Cottonwood, Black Canyon than previous.
Tim.
Yes. Rick.
I'm just curious to know what's unique about the Black Canyon Trail. Why did that end up being so many searches?
Well, this year we had an elderly female that was lost overnight. That was 2 days, and then we had a biker on Black Canyon Trail. I think most of these, probably 5 days, though, were the Cottonwood Faithmore search. 6 of them? Yeah. So Cottonwood Faithmore, the flash flood search that we had for the young girl. Yeah. Yes, Stephen?
I think we had a couple of hunters too.
A couple hunters on Black Canyon?
Yes.
That's right, bear hunters, yeah. Okay. So nothing special about it, maybe just coincidence, Rick, that there were so many there this year? Okay.
Majority were faith.
Yeah, majority were Faith and Conwood, okay. And now it's time to present the Iron Woman criteria and award, and I'll have Peg and Jill come up and do that.
Bob was supposed to, I think that's why he took the first opportunity to go on the call.
He's a little shy.
So just stand in front so that the people on Zoom can see you.
All right.
Do you want to do this part? Or
I'll do this part.
Okay, and then I'll
Yeah.
do the other part.
So
Okay.
get my glasses out.
Okay.
Okay, so for those who don't know what the Iron Man Woman criteria is, then we're going to talk about that. So the winner this year won't be eligible next year. You can't win 2 years in a row. And this is how we calculate the points. You get, for call-out missions, 9 points for each one of those. Training occurrences means like a training orientation hike or a 4x4 training event or any one of our SARCA training events, 5 points. Training planning, because training doesn't happen without some planning. So people have to do, spend time on that. They get 3 points. Then we do, public relations stuff, fundraising, community events. You participate in that, you get 2 points for the occurrence. If you participate in candidate evaluations or evaluation hikes, 2 points for that. You get 1 point tonight, guys. Woo! And then sometimes people do something special and above and beyond, and that will be a consideration on the part of the Ironman committee when they make their final determinations. We do not use total hours. I guess we did in the past.
We used to.
We don't use it in the calculation at this time. And I think that's because people think some of our admin hours are unfair.
But they don't offer to do it.
Exactly.
And just for those that don't know, what we're talking about here is this is an annual award that we've been giving out since, I want to say 2008 maybe?
I could look at the
Yeah,
plaque.
we'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out. Jill brought the plaque that we have for this also. But it is an award that is based on the calendar year that we do accumulate all the data for and then announce the winner typically in January.
All right.
And so Jill and I and Bob Schuman were on the committee this year. That's why we're up here.
So, training a super safety officer versus 2-path iron.
Iron
When-
people.
people.
Bob Schuman was last year's and I was the year prior to that.
Exactly. Okay.
So that's just how we form the committee basically.
So this is how we get to this. So for those who are ambitious, this is a pretty good goal.
Lots of opportunities.
But you're going to have some stiff competition. So this year's winner.
Da-da-da!
This year's winner, Tim Anderson. Yeah. Probably no surprise to most of you.
He did try and get out of it and we said that's not an
No,
option.
no.
So-
He was trying to be, the
He was
captain.
saying, I'm the captain and it doesn't matter, the criteria does not state that if you're captain, you're not eligible.
So this is the plaque.
It used to hang in the Cottonwood Fire Station where we used to have all our meetings,
See it.
but we haven't had the meetings. See it? Oh, that's right, those guys. I don't know if they can see it or not.
I don't know if they
So
can
it does
see
go back to 11, the first year that we awarded an Ironman.
So I will leave that over here.
So people can look at that during the break. Right next to the
That
drone.
shot over there on the left, that's a really nice pose there.
Yeah.
I didn't have my Photoshop application, so
That worked. Oh,
I couldn't really make it look good.
We're moving our Vsar out uniforms to that.
Yeah. Right.
Yours are in the mail.
Protection.
And so just while we're talking about this, one thing that, when we realized that this was still sitting in the Cottonwood Fire Station, the Verde Valley Fire Station where we used to have our meetings, Jill and I went over there we decided we don't meet there anymore, so we shouldn't leave it there. And when we went in there, we found we had 5 or 6 other plaques that I kind of knew about a few of them, but we have plaques that go back to when Verde Search and Rescue was the SAR unit of the year for the state. In 2000, I can't remember what year it is, but whatever.
Yeah.
Awards for help at the Yarnell Fire, for Siler Newton Search. A few, so there were like 5 or 6, they kept coming out with more and more plaques, so we're like, that's not the, we need the Ironman. They never brought this one out till the very end. So they are all now beautifully displayed at Jill's ranch, which is our Vsar auxiliary training facility, because we figured that was our own
It's always going to be there
contained facility. So just as an FYI.
until I
on
die.
that.
It's going to be there.
Right.
All right.
Okay, cool.
All right. So
with
moving
that,
on.
what
ready?
the next slide's going to show is kind of how we got to this, and this is going to be way too much for you to look at here. But this basically is something that data all comes from volunteer rescue now, and that's partly why we're going to be talking about how important it is for people to do their check-in and check-out in the system properly, because we spend an awful lot of time fixing things so that the calculations are accurate. But the system will give us, it actually assigns points for the missions, for the trainings and things like that. And this now has been sorted in rank order for all of those categories. So just to talk through why did Tim make it? Well, if you look at it, it's kind of obvious. Ironman points, number one, 753 points compared to the next closest, who happens to be me, at 603. Total hours, over 1,000. Okay? The next group is total
And I
mission.
might just add that that's probably underreporting.
Yes, right. Hours for the
Pretty sure that's underreporting.
yeah. This is for the calendar year. And so over 1,000 hours reported for the calendar year. Yeah, I think those of us that do a fair amount of admin work tend to not report all the hours that we work. But in any case, and then as far as the total, the total rank is that combination of factors. So the total missions that Tim went on, 57 missions out of that 84 that we had. That's huge. That's more than one a week throughout the year. Okay, so, and the next closest was again me at 47, 10 below him. So not even close, not even in the same game. And then training hours. Guess who was first? Him, again. So he had 210 points, and he was tied, who also had 210 points. But his hours for training were the largest also, 227, 228 training hours. So again, first in all those categories. And the only reason he came in third in the other hours category, in the total hours, is because his lovely wife, Heidi, came in first with her an amazing effort for all the volunteer rescue and other admin work. And I also do an awful lot of that, so I came in second with the hours. So Tim had a couple of, I mean, he probably did keep up with us if he reported them all. But clearly with all this, you can see that there was no question in our minds that Tim deserved this award. And it's not just these hours that matter. Tim, as you all, I mean, those of you that have known Tim for a while and new people aren't as familiar, but Tim, especially this year, has been instrumental in the formation and the real moving forward of all of our specialty units, involved with all of those and trying to organize everything that way. He's also done an amazing job of helping to build rapport across the other search and rescue units for YCSR. All the YCSRT units. In the past, we were kind of each standalone. We here on the Verde side did our thing, and everyone over on the Prescott side did their things, and there was very little interaction. Tim has completely changed that dynamic by completely integrating us in a variety of really positive ways. We do a lot of joint training now, and just a lot of really good work. So those were, had not even had all the points, we probably still would have awarded it to him because of those other qualities of what he did.
Thank you.
What did I miss? I mean, and our esteemed captain, what else can you say, right?
And he's got a pretty cool looking forerunner.
Yeah. Key point there, right. Okay, so how do I move it forward like that? Okay, so, but the other thing, what we wanted to also do, though, as a result, that last slide had an awful lot of data on it that was really hard to read. We thought it was really important to highlight other members that have made a huge contribution to Vsar during the year. Now, Tim, of course, comes out on top of most of these again, but it kind of calls out these categories and makes them a little bit more visible. The top 10 people in the Ironman, Tim, myself, Denise, Bob, who both went on the search, and Dondi, who went on the search, and Jennifer, who went on the search. So, and Mike Vita, yeah. So numbers 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And, how about Alan? Oh no, he's on Zoom. Yeah, so he couldn't go on the search. And Daryl. So, what? 6 or 7 out of the top 10 are on the search tonight. But these are the people that all really did, a huge effort for search and rescue. And the asterisks, by the way, and again, neither one are here, but you're going to notice them on every chart. These people, Dondi and Jennifer, have been members for just over this is their first full year in Verde Search and Rescue. Dondi became a member in November of 2020, and Jennifer, I think, was May of 2020. So 2021 was their first full year, and yet they've basically made all the top lists here, which is pretty amazing. And that's why we really wanted to call them out, but they decided not to be here. And then again, the 30 plus missions, we thought that was a significant number. Doing 30 missions a year, that's a lot. And so we had 11 people that made that list. And again, some of the same names there, but a few other ones popped up there, like Alan. No, Alan was on the other one too. Stephen, no, you were on both of them too. Sorry. I guess maybe Jill. Yeah, at 30. But all the other ones were in there. So the other two ones to just have mention on are those with more than 150 hours of training. Now keep in mind that our requirement for membership used to just be as long as you put in 50 hours a year total, you were considered in good standing. Well, these folks have put in more than 150 hours of training, not counting all those missions. So again, Al Cornell and Mike Harris and Gary joined the group now because they've been really heavily involved in the training efforts, that especially with tracker training and things like that. But Al, no doubt, is our training champion of the year with all that he does. But again, others are really contributing very, very well for this. And then those with more than 300 hours. As Jill said, we tend to not look at the hours, but no organization runs without some admin work, and it is a vital part of what needs to be done. And so this just recognizes those people that have put in a significant amount of non-training and non-mission events. And Heidi, as I said, comes out at the top there, so congratulations, Heidi, on that. We knew that. And then also Al is in there, Jennifer, Jill, again, a lot of the same names. Yep.
Okay, what was the total hours for the whole group in 2021? I didn't see the.
Well, that's on the, it was for the people that are still active, not counting the retired people. Total hours were 9,360. But if you count in the retired people who were here during part of the year, it was 9,700 hours. I think last year might have been 10,000 hours, or really close to it. I can't remember for sure, but close to 10,000.
Because of more call-outs, last year was a little higher.
Right. Now I will say, and part of our, the reason for our training tonight is we still are missing hours for some people because they don't check in and we don't have rosters. So we're going to really focus tonight on the need to have everyone use the VR system to properly record their efforts so that we don't have to do so much admin work. And maybe we can cut down on our admin hours and let all the members do some of, try and pick it up there too. Okay?
Hey, quick question.
Yep.
Can you send me the details on the total number of hours for the last 3 years? I'm going to use it as a grant fodder.
Okay.
That's impressive.
Yep. I'll try, when I get back, remind me to make a note if I haven't done that. And Tim, I don't know if, I forgot to ask you this, but I didn't know if maybe what we could do too, just for those that are curious. This is a page, that's the slide that was up, the second slide that showed all the active members. It doesn't show the retired. We might just include that in the thing too, so that you can all see where you stood in the list of all the numbers. And obviously newer people, the ones that just joined in November, we don't expect you to be at the top, but those that are full members would be there. Yes?
Is there a requirement for the group to maintain a certain
Oh,
level
no.
of?
We are 100% volunteer, so I think Dee Dee would tell you that any and all efforts that we put forth are appreciated by the Sheriff's Office, but there are no expectations of hours to put forth. This is all because we want to help.
Cool.
And it's all what we're doing. But it's just the effort that some of us are putting in to do this. And all members have done a tremendous job with all of our searches. There's no doubt about that. But we wanted to highlight this, and we wanted to, with Jennifer and Dondi, kind of say they win the honorable mention for the year because they are new members this year, and they made all 4 lists, and they really did a tremendous job. But so it'll be in the recording. So Dondi and Jennifer, good job if you watch this. But again, all the members really did a fantastic job here. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Thank you, Jill, thank you.
for putting that all together.
Yeah. Well, part of my admin time, some of my 1,000 some odd hours, guess what I've been doing? Just fixing all the hours, and that's just part of it.
So thank you for that.
And thank you for your effort.
It's been an honor to be on so many searches and so many trainings and learn so much from you. Thank you. Now guess what?
I guess to come back, so I'm sending my papers.
I can summarize a treasurer report by saying we're in the best financial condition that we have ever been.
And we're about to get even better.
Yep.
Okay, so funds on hand at the end of December 31,006. Again, that's a huge number for us. And this is a 2-month report because we don't do a meeting in December. So this is a November-December combination. We had over $2,100 in donations. Huge set of donations this month. And a measly $800 of expenses, so that's pretty good. So we had a net gain, if you will, of $1,300. There is a spreadsheet that's in this presentation. I won't spend any time with it, but it does show, it's kind of a requirement to document the puts and takes, if you will, as to where the monies were spent and all that, so that is in there. For the minutes, we will need to record, and I'm saying this because we're going to use the recording of this meeting to do this. We do need to record the fact that we did a board approval through email for 2 different sets of expenditures. One was November 17th for $300 to utilize the Sedona Library Room for rental for our first aid CPR classes. Thank you, Bernie, for helping to arrange that. And it's a great, it's where we had our holiday party, and it's a great facility. So we'll be doing, we have 2 days worth of first aid classes coming up in end of January, early February. And then the other one is 2 email approvals required for a variety of supplies needed for resupplying our stash, if you will, getting different sizes of parkas and all the new members. And so we had a $1,560 approval for helmets, parkas, and shirts, basically. And that just needs to get recorded. Those that second one, the $300 has been spent already. The $1,560 has not yet been spent. Heidi is still waiting on the final part of the shipment. Okay, some other just comments in general. It was an excellent period for donations, as I said. Part of that has to do with the new ropes team. The ropes team has a great need to purchase a lot of rope equipment, not just ropes, but the other stuff that goes along with it. And although we can certainly try and fund that out of our own treasury, I think they as a group kind of decided that some of them wanted to make their own donation and kind of put it aside for ropes equipment. So we got a donation from Denise, as well as an anonymous donation, the total of those of $800 for the ropes. We also got $600 from 2 of our existing members, the Fosters, David and I saw David, right? Is he here? No, he's not here. Okay. David and Jennifer's on the search. So they also both made donations this past month just because they chose to do so. We also got a total of $700 in other donations. So from Boysburg, the Knutsons,
Oh, yeah.
they have donated to us, I think, 3 years now, 3 different times. So they've become really,
How much did they donate?
they donated $200. Yeah. So that was, and then Miller, I think was Bob Miller, someone that saw us on Dondi Knows.
Yep, Dondi knows him, is a member of our neighborhood, wanted to support Bert. He
Yeah.
saw our Facebook and contributed after he saw us on
Yeah,
Facebook.
the Facebook led them to our website, which then you can donate on our website. And then Ellen, I think it's Ellen White, a friend of the VTEX, actually works with, and Mike's not here tonight either, Tech, who used to be a Vsar member. She works at the bookstore in the library, and I think Ellen White is involved in that also. And so she's made a donation to us each of the last several years also. So really good for that. And then we also received over $70 in donation from the Amazon Smile. We are listed as a nonprofit for Amazon Smile, for those of you that buy a lot on Amazon. If you're not familiar with the program, just go to smile.amazon.com and you can pick a charity to benefit, and Amazon actually donates a very small fraction, but it adds up. Especially when you have the Andersons and the Jill and those that buy incredible amounts of stuff. I think I look at mine, my purchases donate 62 cents. and they end up getting us, we're getting over $60 or $70 a quarter, which is huge, really. So that's just through Amazon, just picking us. If you haven't done so already, feel free to go to smile.amazon.com and pick us as your charity.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Doesn't cost you anything. It's just a way that Amazon pays back a donation to whomever. And I mean, all sorts of charities are listed there, so you can certainly pick whomever you think. But then, in addition to that, just to kind of give you coming attractions, 3 other things are happening that are going to greatly increase our funds in the month of, during January. And the checks are in the mail, but I have one of the checks already, but the others are on their way. The check I already have is Mark Carey. Again, Mark here?
No, he's traveling this week.
Traveling, okay. So he made a donation for the Ropes Fund also, which gives us over $1,000 in the Ropes Fund already. $1,000 donation from Friends of Don Morgan's, Carol and Bill Miller. So they made a $1,000 donation to us, and that check, unfortunately, it got sent to YCSRT initially, and that's why Carol had to call you and ask for my information. And she said she didn't think you knew why she was calling, but she said
I knew they were donating.
yeah, but you didn't know how much they were donating. It was a $1,000 donation that they made to us, which was fabulous. And they just said that they think, you know, Don is just such a cool guy. They've known him since college. Yeah. So thank you, but that was good. And then the other thing, which I'll show you, the next slide, I'll show you the details, but our fundraising effort that we do each year where we send out a fundraising mailer just once a year, it has had tremendous success this year. And so we have coming to us, again, the check is in the mail, an $8,000 disbursement from the donations received from that. And that's after all expenses have been paid, and we've reserved enough for next year's campaign expenses already. And there's still more left over. So that is phenomenal. The first year, you know, we've had this is the third mailing that we've done. We did one in 2018, one in 2019. We did not do 2020 because of COVID. And so, but we continue to get donations, so we recorded them against the 2019 campaign. So that was like a 2-year campaign, and now 2021. And it's just been phenomenal what we've gotten. So can I back up? Nope, I can't back. How do you back up?
Go.
Up that way, okay.
There you go. Okay.
Just want to go back one real quick. So this one is the, that's the actual details that I won't spend any time on, but it will be attached to the minutes that show all the various transactions and the expenditures and things like that.
Sometimes you have to go here.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and then this is just a recap of the fundraising mailed in October of 18. We received over 1,000 donations, 1,055 donations already for $69,000 gross. That's huge. And the cost was about $22,000. So, you know, for the postage, the mailer, printing, and all that sort of stuff, and the PO boxes and the website, and you know, all the expenditures basically. And compared to the 2019 campaign, which was the last full year, the initial part of that year, to the end of 2019, we received 892 donations. We're 1,055 already. For 49,000, and again, we're at 69,000 now, so a huge increase. So we think we've developed kind of an awareness in the communities, and we send the mailer out to all, I'll say, primary homeowners. In other words, we use the property tax code that says you are it's your primary residence code. Anyone in Yavapai County with a primary residence code on their tax record. And so we send out like 55,000 mailing letters. To have gotten 1,000 back is almost unheard of in this type of mailer. So it's really great. And this chart just shows you how things have moved. We're averaging about $65 a donation, which is also pretty huge. And so over the course of the time. So on account, if you will, we have over $12,000. $8,000 is in the mail to us now, but that other amount is being reserved for next year's campaign to pre-fund that. So it's been phenomenal. Any questions on that? Okay. So I think that's it for me.
Okay. I think that's it.
Am I excused for now?
You're excused.
For now.
Thank you, Peg. You know, so again, the bottom line is that Vsar is in the best financial condition we've been. By the end of January, we'll have over $40,000 available for us for training and equipment. And speaking of which, let's spend some money. So we have a board request for funds. We have a board quorum here. As you heard, several Vsar members have contributed a total of $1,050 to Vsar Rope Equipment Fund. We found that one of the most important priorities was something called a clutch for rope equipment. It's an ascending descending device, and it was actually the equipment that we used actually for the rope recovery on last Monday on Sugarloaf. We thought that would be an appropriate expenditure for the contributions of the rope team. We would like to buy 2 of them plus a rigging plate. So I, as captain, am making a request of the board to add $300 to the rope members' contributions to purchase 2 CMC clutches and 1 rig plate at $13.50. So I'll make a motion that the, yes, Peg?
And I'll say, I can make the motion, or?
Why don't you make a motion?
I make a
Okay.
motion that they can, we can spend up to $1,400
Okay.
to purchase the equipment, just to cover in cases and little extra work.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have second. All board members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All board members not in favor? Any abstentions? No? Okay, so the motion is approved. We're spending some of our money for rope equipment. And let me tell you that when we work with backcountry, they tell us rope equipment is very expensive. It's hardware. This is hardware, believe it or not. And rope is a software. And we could eventually, right now I have a wish list of up to $6,000 to get the minimal equipment that we would need to be competent. Not competent, but let's say a fully equipped rope team. We are working on a grant from YCSO. That is still in progress. We'll see how that comes about. But again, it's, as I told you, we now have a Vsar ropes team. Sergeant Tiemann said now that we have 2 technician level and an operator. Once we pass technician course, let's put us in this Vsar ropes team. We're in volunteer rescue. And we would work very closely with backcountry whenever we can. They would come here and we'd assist them. We would go there and we would work together. And we actually worked together on one of the searches that you're going to hear about tonight. Okay, so board motions needed. We have board approval of rope equipment already. We need a board approval of the November, December financial report subject to audit. Do I have a motion to approve?
It's up to you guys.
Dave and Jill. Okay, all members say in favor say aye.
Aye.
So
Who was the first on that? You were the first? Okay, so
So all 4 of 6 members have approved that, so the November, December financial report is approved subject to audit. We also need board approval of the November 2021 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Okay, meetings are approved. Okay. One more piece of business. And then we'll get on to some of the fun stuff. We'll talk about 2 key missions and learnings from that. Last piece of business for tonight is that we have an officer election coming up. As per our bylaws, we nominate the lieutenants each year and the sergeants every 2 years. As per our bylaws, a nomination committee is formed in January, and that nomination committee presents a slate of candidates in February. The vote on those candidates occurs in an open meeting in March with effect in April. So for example, captain's position goes from April 1 to April 1. The positions up for election are the following, basically mine, all the lieutenant positions, including assistant captain not filled this year. I hope this year, to help out, and sergeant as apply, sergeant medical, and sergeant base operations. The nomination committee that I formed, it says the captain can form that committee, and what I did is I looked at the Ironman list. I eliminated the top members. I chose Don, Daryl, and Jennifer because they were on that list, and I chose Jill because she was on last year's committee and she can help chair that. So I've asked Jill to chair that. So we'll look for a report from the nomination committee in February. Nomination committee will contact each of the current occupants of the position, say, would you like to continue? And if they want to continue, that will be a slate candidate, and maybe someone else would like to volunteer for that too. The nominations committee will interview those people, and they'll come up with their recommendation for the slate in February. Okay. Let's go on to missions. So since our last meeting, we've had 8 missions. We've had a couple standbys, but eight missions. I'm going to talk about 2 tonight. So you can see Lost Hunter, Stoneman Lake, Lost Hiker, Cathedral Rock, Lost Hikers, and actually Lost Drivers in Hanaki that went on a forest road they shouldn't have and destroyed the oil pan of their very small car, I believe. Sergeant Tiemann called me at 6 in the morning on that one saying we need a group to go out and look at them because he'd had a deputy out since midnight on the Bullhorn for the people and looking for them with a searchlight. And the deputy could not go down the muddy road because he didn't have 4x4. So he needed us to go find the people. Lost hikers, Boynton Canyon. Those lost hikers was an Asian couple from North Carolina that is actually lost at the same place the girl is lost at tonight. And we had Nicholas Rice was last reported 2 years ago. He's been missing 2 years. And Adam had some additional information where we searched the other side of I-17 for Nicholas. This is one of those that I classified as missing person body search. He was not found, but we cleared an area for the YCSO. And Lost Hikers, Devil's Bridge. And a lesson from the Lost Hikers Devil's Bridge is they were lost on 152. The coordinates are on 152. 3 4x4s down to get them. And one of the 4x4s saw a white van coming back out of 152. They thought to stop the van and said, "Have you seen these people?" And lo and behold, the people were in the van. A Good Samaritan had picked up the family, that was lost, and was bringing them out. And so the lesson is, when you see a vehicle or people leaving the area they were searching, ask them, have they seen the people? And you might find that they found the people that are with them. And I think Dondi, who asked, was very surprised that, oh yeah, we have 4 people and they're all in the van. So
It was a cold, rainy night. So
cold, rainy night, yeah. So the 2 missions that I want to talk about in particular was a very recent lost hiker on Doe Mountain. And this was really a key one for us because it was the first YCSO finding of utilizing a YCSO thermal drone. And I want to talk now about our addition of thermal drone capability to Vsar. And I'm going to have Jerry come up and talk about that. And Sugarloaf, missing hiker, which turned out to be a recovery, and this is actually the first joint backcountry Vsar rope mission. So 2 big searches, 2 new teams, 2 new technologies. This is the Doe Mountain search. So this is the trailhead. This is, what is that road? That's the Boynton Canyon Road. Enchantment Resort is here to the north. So Heath got the call that night, and the lady, a 57-year-old female.
What time?
It was dark, probably about 9 p.m. And 8-ish, 9-ish, it was dark. Okay, pitch black. And the lady had gone up to Doe to take photos, and she got so interested in her photos, and the sun set on, and she was lost. She said that she could see Enchantment Resort. She could see the lights of it. She could see the road and the lights of Enchantment Resort. Enchantment Resort is up north, up here, and so you can see the teams hiked up to Doe, and they started searching this side, calling out and whistling for the lady, Donna. The lieutenant said that he had requested a thermal drone from Prescott. When we were up here, the drone arrived, and we saw the drone flying over us. Aaron, the drone operator, could see us, but he couldn't see he could see the searchers. And then, so Aaron then flew the drone over to the south side of Doe, which is where she should not have been. And he actually located her very shortly after her flight. Within the first 10-15 minutes, he saw her thermal signature on the south side of Doe. And they radioed us the coordinates. And actually, the team here could actually see the drone as it flew over them. Then they could see the drone hovering, and the deputy hovered the drone above the lost Donna right here. So in 10-15 minutes, we were there at the site of Donna. That thermal sensing drone, and Joe Anderson and Mike Vitek were there with the drone operator. They saw the screen of the drone operator. They could actually see her. When she heard the drone, she came out and started doing like this. And that drone, the drone, since finding Donna, saved us an uncountable number of hours that night. We did not have phone coordinates. One of Donna's phone coordinates pinged to 17 miles away. The other pinged, I think, maybe to Sedona Airport. Obviously not appropriate. She said she was on Doe. And so we had no coordinates, and that's always the worst case, because you have to do a line search of the entire area. So that drone.
The drone sensed the heat signature?
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to show you a demo of what. Yes, Ernie, do you have a question? No.
Being where she was, do you think she saw enchantment, or do you think she
I think she saw the lights of the subdivision down here. Yeah, I do. And she was just confused, disorientated, and thought it was enchantment, which happens. And a lesson from there is, you know, trust information but verify, and take it with a grain of salt. They're giving you the best information they can without coordinates. Just remember, okay, it might be what they're saying, but don't trust that as that, you know, that's the God-given word of the truth. So that, and actually Heath told me that night that that was the first live find they made with the YCSO drone.
That's amazing.
And I called Aaron and I said, Aaron, can I have some video? And unfortunately, Aaron didn't record video. So Heath was asking him too.
Did she still have a phone that was battery dead, or-
Her phone battery was dead. Okay. So let me just say again, the thermal drone founder saved us countless hours of searching, because we would have had to search that entire top of Doe, you know, line searching, calling for her and whistling in the dark of night, and we were on the opposite end from her.
Tim,
Yep.
we got a question here.
Yes, Steve?
So as far as drone operators, do we have one?
We have one, so you need to be Part 107 certified by FAA. We have one of those, that's me, so I have a normal drone. Yeah. And we're about to acquire the services of another one, a thermal sensing drone, that I'm going to discuss next. So thermal sensing drone and Vsar. So locating the subject by the thermal sensing drone saved several hours of searching. We are adding thermal sensing drone capability to Vsar. Jerry Hajak in the back, Bernie's husband. Jerry is a YCSO Air Group member, and he's offered his drone to assess Vsar with our searches. Jill will be organizing Vsar training to establish thermal drone capabilities, that including night training with lost Vsar members. So we'll have Vsar go out at night and see if Jerry can find us under trees, find us in washes, and this will help Jerry establish the search protocols. How high should he be? How fast should he be going? What type of thermal capability? There's different color palettes for thermal. Now what I wanted to show you was actually, Jerry, can you come up and talk with about these videos? And Jerry did bring his drone. So maybe, Jerry, what you could do is take 30 seconds and introduce yourself and maybe tell them a little bit about the drone. Come in front of the computer so the people on Zoom can see you too.
Okay.
And then I'll show your video, and then you can actually talk through the video, okay?
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that.
So Jerry.
Hi, I'm Jerry Hayek, Bernie's husband. Might know me. And I'm with the Air Group. I'm a newbie. I haven't been fully trained yet, so I haven't used my airplane for any of their missions yet. But you can thank Al here and Tim for getting me involved in this. They knew I had a bad habit of collecting a lot of different drones. I fly all kind of racing drones, FPV drones, things like that. Anyhow, so we had the need, and I thought that I could help fill that for you guys. So I purchased this inspection drone because just a year ago, nothing like this even existed. This technology did not exist at this small platform. This one's sort of a little beast for its size.
I show it to the people on Zoom.
There we go. This is an Autel. A lot of people ask me, why didn't you buy a DJI? And there was reasons for it. This is stronger, it's tougher, it flies longer, it's got more capabilities, and which I probably should have had off here, but this camera here is amazing, thermal quality camera, and it's also radiometric. I can tell every pixel on a high resolution screen exactly what the temperature of it is, just with this small drone. I could get kind of geeky and talk about it a whole lot, but
we won't do that.
We won't do that. but to be real quick, yeah, it's about 40-minute flight time.
40-minute flight time, that's great.
In the drone world, but because you have winds,
Yeah.
you got to get this thing home. So missions run like 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Still, that's
Yeah, and even the big ones, the very large ones, because I was willing to buy a big Matrice or something like that, and I kept looking into them, and they're huge, and they still have 40-minute flight time.
The other night, the YCSO drone was hovering over the subject and had to leave after 20 minutes to go get battery. Then it came back.
Yeah. Just real quickly, some interesting things about this besides like I said, there's never been a camera like this until recently, and we'll show you some video of it around the house of me chasing Bernie around. And another thing that I really like, and I did last night, because I wanted to show this to Tim, is both of these, this headlight is 1,000 lumens. And I go up 200 feet and I can find myself with the color camera. Color camera is 48 megapixels. And what that does for you, you can on autonomous mapping with this, I just set up a map and just let it go. And it's like, I use the 20-20-200 rule, which means that I can do 20 acres in 20 minutes, 200 pictures. And then the resolution is so high that if we do like a recovery or something later during the day, of course, we can go in and just keep zooming in and zooming in and zooming in and zooming in those pictures to find really fine detail. You stitch them together as a mosaic, make one huge map, things like that. All that capability is here. The other thing that made me go this route here was this controller. A lot of the drones in this form factor, small like this, use iPhones. You've seen that before, an iPhone, hook up to it, or an iPad or something like that. A lot of the big drones that DJI even sells will use an iPad. This thing is 2,000 nits. If you look at an iPad, it's like 500, 600, and that's brightness, right? So, and this thing is extremely bright. In bright sunlight, 50% of brightness that I turn on, and it's almost too bright to look at. I have the brightness completely all the way down to nothing when I'm flying at night. And like I say, so far, just a lot of test flights around the house and stuff like that. But the spotlight, I have strobes. And this is interesting too, because I watched some police. It turns out there's about 300 of these in Los Angeles area that police are using.
Bernie, would you shut the door behind you? So that's our fire station call. It sounds like they may be getting a call.
So the thermal camera, spotlight, this is a speaker that's extremely loud. And from the base station, you can just talk into the controller and you can tell your subject to stay put, you know, do whatever.
On the way.
If you want to do something like that with this also. So, and I watched on YouTube from some other departments, mostly West Coast departments are using this actual drone, and they're making, SWAT teams make arrests with this. They'll go into a building first, clear the building with the drone, tell them put your hands down, do whatever, you know, put your hands up or put your hands behind you, lay down, and when they do, and everything's safe, then the teams come in, things like that. Those are being used more and more.
So let's go and show the video, and you can actually talk through the video. So Jerry,
this is $10,000. So, and like I said, you couldn't do anything like this for $10,000 just a year ago.
Heidi, just curiously, can you see the movie, Heidi?
Huh?
Okay. Just say yes. You're muted. You see it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this was just I was testing the color camera during the day, and 16 times zoom, 4 times no loss zoom, and then the rest becomes digital, so it gets pixelated. But right here in the very center, you can probably see this little car that just drove by. See the car? You'd never see anything like that, and as I back out, you'll see that car. You know, even if it's pixelated, we're looking for some movement or something. That's pretty good for daytime, and that's a long way out, right? So that was pretty good. The sun was already down. The sun was well below Mingus. This is a few minutes after sunset, and I was just testing the low light capabilities of it. We're all familiar with the stupa, I guess they call it over there, by the Andante Trail. I was zooming in on it from my house a couple of miles. Closer to that thing.
Most drones don't have telephotos.
Yeah.
That's a great addition.
So this is also 16 times zoom. And the way this is I wouldn't even have to zoom if you wanted to do post-production. You'd get this same picture, or actually better, because this is the lowest. I was shooting at the lowest resolution level of just 1080p right now, and this is an 8K camera, so it can shoot really high resolution. I wanted to show this. This is myself, and I was shooting, and then there's myself thermal during the day. It's not looking at the light wavelengths at all. So it's actually seeing those heat differentials.
So cold days, warm person, we can use this during the day?
Yeah, and here's a picture-on-picture that it can do, so you can see, you can go back and forth and see what it looks like outside that square or inside the square. So everything outside of it is color camera, inside of it. And when you do that, it makes 3 different recordings. All 3 of those last recordings were all the same exact picture. I'm zooming in a little bit from about 400 feet, almost 400 feet. I gotta say that because legally I gotta stay below 400 feet or at 400 feet. And I'm zooming in on myself, just standing by my house, in the cooler area where it was shaded. That's the purple. And you can see movement, you can, so that was kind of impressive during the day, so there wasn't that much differential in temperature, right? And I'm just waiting around. All right. And this next section is me trying to find Bernie from 200 feet without zooming anything. And she was hiding from me. No, there she is. She's walking around. And then this was 75, and then I went up to 200.
This is black, this is pitch black out.
Yeah, it's night. This is night, it's 7 o'clock.
Heat signatures under the trees where it hasn't cooled off yet.
Yeah. I'll show you one in a minute where a truck was for only 20 seconds, and I can see where that truck was. Like that's coming up here. And
you can see how well this would help us find people tonight. They're huge.
Okay, now I'm going up to 200 feet. And
Will the drone give us coordinates too?
oh yeah, it's all GPS. In fact, I can give you the coordinates that you want. Not the lat long like I like to use as a pilot. And I'll send. So it shows you, and I can see all the heat leaking from my vents, And this isn't an inspection drone, and that's how it was designed for inspection. It's a huge business. These drones are easy to pay for themselves really quick in inspection use. And I believe this is it for this guy.
By inspections, you talking about like APS, checking lines, stuff like that?
Checking lines, checking air conditioning units, checking thermal cracking in refineries, checking big thing here that they use these for, that I read about some guys that pay for these things in just months, is solar panels. You can look at a solar panel and you can tell what part of it's good, what part of it's defective, where the high resistance areas is and stuff like that by the temperature. In the daytime, just by flying over the top of solar panels.
Jerry, here's your next video. Okay.
This video here, well, you can see this is I was chasing the postman. He was out last night late after 7 o'clock, and look at this. I can see the 4, look at that. You can see where the engine was, you can see the 4 tires. That was great. There's my neighbor's house, and what I was testing all the different color palettes here. You can change different colors for different temperatures. And I've got about 8 different palettes here, if you can see these changes. So if you have something that you don't quite see, or you can change the palettes, and the object will show up a lot better. Like watch you here in a couple of different ones. I like this one especially. Look at that. That's so easy to see.
And again, this is pitch black at night.
Yep, pitch black at night, yeah.
How high are you there?
I was zoomed in on that one, so I was probably, I do everything at 200 feet, because I think I probably don't want to fly higher than 200 feet for a search. And then I zoom in a little bit. This I was zoomed in quite a bit with the color camera. This is not thermal at all, and that's just that little spotlight there. And the thing I was impressed with, it was 20 winds last night. So you see how I'm perfectly steady, and the drone's moving all around because that's hard mounted to the drone. So the drone's moving all around, and that gimbal, that camera is just staying just as steady as it can be.
So you have one light on or 2 up there?
It's 2. It's that right there.
So you have 2,000?
You know, that's a good question. This is advertised as a 1,000 lumen system. So
It's 500, 500.
could be. Yeah, I'm not real sure.
So Jerry, question, when you're out in an area that you're not used to, you're flying around your house pretty stationary, but you're out, say, at Doe Mountain, and it's at night, it's pitch black, how difficult is it to fly something like that around?
Maybe repeat so they hear it on Zoom. So how difficult is it to fly like on Doe at night?
Oh.
Orientation.
You have to stay out of the trees, right? How to get orientation, how to find the mountain, how to find the, well, as you noticed, I'm gonna use the thermal capabilities of that. Now I have 12 obstacle sensors on this thing that tell me where I'm at, right? During the day, they're binocular, so I can get distances off of that. It's 1 to 65 feet, basically, and the drone won't get closer than 10 feet to anything. You have to turn the obstacle avoidance off so that you can get any closer than 10 feet to any object, the way this is set up. Now, nighttime, okay, a little different. Nighttime, I have what's called star sensors on the front and the bottom, so that you can make a good soft landing, because it won't land on rough terrain. It finds its own nice spot to land on. So you start with something nice that you know you're going to come back when you do the return to home. If you lose your drone and it comes back, you need something nice to land on. The other thing is that the star, which is ultrasonic, which is the same thing like the beeper, like on your car, right? Ultrasonic type measurement. Only the front and only the bottom. And the bottom also has, if you lose GPS, it basically has a light, it comes on, looks at the ground, and it optically will center itself. But what it does is it looks at a pattern on the ground, and it stays on that pattern, and it'll hover right on top of that pattern. So you can actually, I can turn this on right now, fly it in here, and it will look at this table, look at Jill, look at whatever, and it'll just take my hands off, and it doesn't need GPS it'll just read the table, read the floor, read whatever, and it'll balance itself out. So it's going to be tricky. That's why we're going to do some training, Jill. It's going to be a little tricky. I'm going to rely on and I've studied a lot of this and looked at other agencies that are using it and all that. And you use the thermal because you can see the trees. You can see the trees, you can see the levels, you can see the cliffs, you can see things like that.
Can you insure that thing?
Yes.
Steve, you have a question, then
Yeah.
Stephen.
So when you're doing, like, not necessarily these flights, but especially if you're gonna do a search and rescue flight, how do you notify the FAA if you have to go?
Don't have to notify the FAA. No.
Not even in the vicinity of the airport?
In the vicinity of the airport, you have we do that online. We basically do it on. Now, if I was within a landing pattern, okay, like DJI drone just shut down and not let you fly, until you get permission.
It's unlikely would you use it around an airport.
Yeah, this one doesn't have a geofence involved in it. But if I was at an airport, I would call a control tower.
But I mean, as far as notifying them to close off that area, like, I'm sure, like, right now, if I fly mine somewhere, it'll give me an emergency response area that'll block off for any other flights. Is it on board to make sure that everyone's notified in the area?
No.
If that were the situation, we'd be working with the deputy, and between us and the deputy, we would we call it control tower. If it was absolutely necessary to search near an airport, we would figure it out to notify them. Stephen, you got a question?
Yes, how long does it take to recharge a battery?
These batteries take about 90 minutes to recharge.
So 2 or 3 backups.
Yeah. So I've got 3 now. I plan on 4 because I think a 2-hour mission, if I go out, I need at least 2 hours. And that'd be too conservative. Good 2 hours of searching, I think, with 4 batteries.
I think you need at least 4 batteries. My drone is like 25 minutes, 25 at max in order to come back. And that's pushing it. And I got 4 batteries. Okay, so you see, yes, Hank, last question.
Do we fund that from the Birdie Search and Rescue team, or is that you personally funding that?
That's me personally funding that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jerry as you see, he's a purveyor and surveyor of multiple aircraft equipment, including drones. Yep. And this is something that he's contributing to Vsar. So thank you. So let's talk about Jerry. That's perfect. Thank you. Jerry worked a lot to get this. We might leave it out so that after the meeting we can look at it, or at the break. So this has been discussed a lot with Adam, and Adam knows about all these capabilities, knows about Jerry assisting Vsar with this, and what we're thinking of is perhaps adding Jerry as a support drone pilot in Vsar, so he gets the call-outs. And Adam has said that he will actually, when he feels a drone is useful, either during the day to, let's say, find a way to the subject, rather than sending people up hiking, we can use a drone, or for night searches, as you've seen. He will specify in the call-out if a drone thinks would be useful. And we're also talking with Adam about perhaps adding a Vsar, or not a VR, but a search and rescue drone team on VR. Larry Weigel of Backcountry has a drone, normal. Blair Burton, SDU has a drone. I have a drone, normal. And now this would be the 4th drone.
And I think there's someone else, there's several others that I've heard have them.
I know about 4 of them, so. Anyway, so thank you, Jerry. This is a great increase in capability for Vsar. Yep, huge. Okay, so last mission was a very important one. It happened January 2nd and January 3rd. This is Sugarloaf. This is actually within the outskirts. This is within Sedona city limits. This is Sedona Police Department, let's say, jurisdiction. And we got a call out Sunday night, and that a witness, a person had seen personal belongings on the top of Sugarloaf, which is right up here. And there's a backpack, and there were skid marks, the person thought. And so the person may have slipped off the cliff, and that's all we knew. Personal belongings at the top of Sugarloaf and what looked like skid marks. And it was a little muddy up there. And so when Vsar was called, Sedona Fire Department was already there. Sedona Fire Department was flying their drone above this area looking for heat signatures. They did find a heat signature here. That night we had a team going around this bluff, and we had a team going up here. And I'm going to show you two parts of that. Here is, here's the call out, 122-1744, meet at Sugarloaf. Someone found personal items at the top of the Sugarloaf overlook and possible slide marks going down the side. Sedona Fire is working to get the drone up with what little light there is. When we got there, we could see the drone, the fire department drone, also thermal sensing. They were looking for the person or heat signature. We sent a team up there. Well, let me just say that we had people scouring the bottom, looking for the subject, a person, because we didn't know if anyone had fallen. We knew nothing about it. All we knew was this. And then Adam was able to get Ranger, and Ranger came. It was not the Ranger with heat sensing capability, but it was Ranger with the spotlight. And Ranger with a large spotlight actually found an individual below this location on their stomach, and the individual looked dead. It looks like it had fallen about 100 feet. So with that, Ranger looked at it very closely. Ranger said that it looks like there's a way to it from the ground. At that time, we determined that the individual had fallen and was indeed deceased. All efforts to recover then stopped because the individual was in very dangerous territory, as you'll see from the next morning. We did take Officer Abbott from the Sedona Police Department up to the top for evidence to the scene. This is Officer Abbott. This is Gary illuminating the scene for her. These are the personal belongings, backpack, some jewelry, some crystals here. And then as we look closer, it was actually Ernie that saw this, sharp-eyed Ernie. This is the individual's phone, right on the edge. And then on the other side over here, there was a pack of cigarettes and new cigarettes scattered on the ground. And in between these was skid marks. What we think, so it's all theory, what we think is perhaps the individual fell and threw a phone this way and a cigarette pack this way. And they were on both sides of the skid marks. So that's all that we could do that night. Adam then made a call out for the next morning. I'm going to reduce this. Meet tomorrow, Sugarloaf Trailhead, for a recover of male subject that fell off Sugarloaf Mountain. Need rope rescue equipment, short haul tech, the short haul in case we needed a helicopter to lower down and recover the body and bring him back up, and ground searchers to assist Sedona Police Department with recovery. Subject is near, and these were the coordinates that the helicopter had determined the night before. So this is it was indeed a recovery. We actually, through Google Earth, we actually found a way to get up into that area where we thought the body was. Remember, no one had seen the body except for the helicopter pilot and gave us coordinates. We found a way up to the body, and actually this picture shows you what the terrain was like. So I would call this very steep angle terrain. The individual had fallen right in this shadowed area and was indeed deceased. The team found him the next morning, and this area is right below where This is where the individual's phone was, and his personal. He fell down here, and right here is where we found his body. He probably hit here and rolled down. The fireman did get up here this night, but Jeff, the fireman, said he got this high, and he didn't see any person, otherwise he would going to try to treat him. So he didn't see him. At this point, it was so high that he decided he couldn't go further, and he came back. So this is the rope team that actually, this was needed a rope recovery to lower the skid with the person down. We climbed up this way and found the individual. We actually anchored up to this tree in an anchor rope system, ran it down this way, and from that anchor rope system then we tied ourselves in for safety and lowered the skid down this slope to a waiting team below. Here you can see this is where we lowered him from. This is Larry from backcountry. This is the individual in the skid, and unfortunately in recoveries like this you have to place the body in a body bag and place that in another body bag, double body bag them, then put them into the skid, and then we hitch the skid to a rope, and with a rope lowering system and with a rappel system for some of us to help the skid down, lower it down. So these teams, this was 2 Vsar and 2 backcountry. We had teams below and teams, safety teams on a little hill across from us. So this was the first combined Vsar backcountry rope recovery, and I'll tell you, it used all of our skills, rope skills. We had another team on top that was using an edge kit to look over the side, and this is also a new guest. Welcome.
Sorry about that.
Johnny Morrison. So please take a seat anywhere you like. Johnny was at an Arizona Rangers meeting earlier. He said he tried to make this one. And Johnny, you're right in the middle of our discussion of a mission. So, okay. Again, this is the first joint Vsar backcountry rope recovery. We have been training, backcountry and Vsar have been training together for months. And we meshed together so well, we were the same team. Because we've been training together and learning our skills together. So, key lessons. We're finding that, we have a rope rescue team in Vsar. We are full partners with backcountry. We work hand in hand. We will require more investment in Vsar, but you see how we are using our skills. And this was one device. In fact, that's me, and I'm using this device to lower the skid with the body safely and slowly down to a waiting team. Okay, so any questions or any other comments from anyone that was there? Ernie, you were there that night. Pardon? It was Daryl and I.
Daryl and you,
And it was Neil and Larry. Now Daryl did not have ropes training, but now he's in our ropes group. He's starting coming to training tomorrow. And Daryl was the one I was concerned about, and we tied him in, and we were very careful. So 3 of us were rope certified. Daryl was not, but also Daryl was there. Daryl's a mountain goat, and he was part of the team that we all went up together. For our Vsar ropes practice, I'll say it again, anyone is invited to our Vsar ropes practice. It is not exclusionary. Anyone can come. You just need to let me or Dondi or Joe Anderson know, and we'll add you to the list. We have a training tomorrow actually replicating this of the skid and Stokes. I think.
Who else would have done this work?
No one else. So Sedona Fire Department, they have a ropes technical squad, very good, but they don't do recoveries. It's more important for them to use it in actual searches and live recoveries. So no, police department does not have any capability, so they needed us to do this. The Detective Dominguez, the officer in charge of this, thanked Vsar and Backcountry profusely. He said, we could not have done this without you. And he says, thank you for putting your lives in danger to help us recover this individual.
It's amazing.
Okay, now, anything else from that? Okay.
I just have a quick question.
Yes, Dave.
I was wondering about this. The body's laid there overnight, and it's really cold, so it's probably frozen stiff. Was it hard to get them in a bag?
Yes, it was. There's rigor mortis and cold, and you have to carefully manipulate the body to get him into the body bag. Yes.
He was a big guy too, wasn't he?
He's about 250 pounds. And this is a person that you cannot safely carry that weight of a person down. You saw the slope. There's no way to safely carry that down like we do with low angle. So in Vsar, in part of task book 2, we teach low angle rescue, and low angle is anything to 20 degrees. And then you go mid angle and steep angle like this. This is steep angle. High angle is vertical, and you learn all of that in technical rope rescue. So this was where you actually needed a rope for safety for the recoverers and a rope to lower the person down to safely to a team below.
Yeah, I have one other question too. I didn't see it in the news. I haven't seen it in the news. Have they revealed who it was?
Well, I have not seen it in the news either. These things typically don't occur in the news that I see. His family's been notified and his friends have been notified.
I just didn't know if it was what they talked about.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Peg. It's still not something to talk about, and we don't share pictures. We shared this on Facebook, but it's generic pictures, just saying, well, ropes team helped in recovery. And actually, this person was from Cottonwood, it's a local person, and surprisingly, 3 days later, a group had seen on Verde Search and Rescue our recovery work, and they said, we have a person that went on Sugarloaf hiking 3 days ago, and we haven't heard from him. Can you tell us the name of the person you rescued? And we sent them to the Sedona Police Department to call them. So it's amazing that the police reach out to everyone they can, but there's still some subgroup that can't contact, and so that's why we never talk about this. We don't share names. This is only within Vsar, and I'm sharing the details so you all learn.
How many people were involved in the rescue?
We had a team of 16, about 7 Vsar and 7 backcountry. And we had a team up on top that was looking over the edge to see if they could see the person and recover the phone, and actually we found his glasses below the phone. So there's a team on top that was rope trained, and they had safety edge protection to go to the edge, and there's a team on the bottom looking to see to recover him, and then there's a team down below that to receive the recovered body. So 16 people, half Vsar, half backcountry. Okay, so tonight you've seen big increase in capabilities in Vsar, thermal sensing drone, and you're going to be seeing trainings to help us develop search protocols for that drone. And you've also seen Vsar now as a ropes team. Within 2 weeks of that ropes team, it's being used jointly with backcountry. Okay, oops. Now it's you didn't see that. So tonight we also have a surprise for Vsar, a token of appreciation for all of Vsar's efforts. You actually have Vsar Caps. So let me tell you the story of these caps. We've been working on this for 4 months. Dondi found the caps, and Dondi is donating the 50 caps to Vsar. The Valley Embroidery, Valley Sewing, has donated the design of the Verde Search and Rescue patch. Vsar board has paid the $20 per hat for the construction, the embroidery. So this is a multi-contributory effort. Every active Vsar member will get a hat tonight. Here's the hat. Remember I said active Vsar member.
So do we need to pull out the list?
31 of you. So those of you that are in the YCSO background or just think of joining, this is your award once you join.
And you're active.
So,
Tim, that brings up just one minor point. I think we did an email before that. Can we record that in the minutes tonight also?
yes, absolutely. We'll record that. Also an email approval yesterday. So again, a token of appreciation for all the hard work Vsar does. And this is your hat. You can wear it anywhere you like, except on a search because you're going to be wearing a helmet. Okay? So thank you for all that you do for YCSO and for the service that you do. Okay. Okay, now we'll have a break, 5 minutes, and then we have 30 minutes of volunteer rescue training.
I can record the fact that we want to. Do we have that in our board approvals?
We'll add it. Okay.
I mean, we might want to restate it so that it gets on.
So lost person wandered into enchantment. This is from Dondi. We will all head home. 12 on call out. Adam on scene.
Oh, Adam.
Yep. So Adam came. Okay, so the person wandered into enchantment on their own.
Did they report themselves, hopefully?
Well, we would have had a team at base there with enchantment, so, yeah. Okay, 5-minute break,